So, it turns out the Fallout show is actually a real show, which I wasn't expecting. I think it's the best live-action video game adaptation I've seen, which isn't saying a lot. I mean, that's like saying, it's the cleanest stall in the rest stop toilet, you know? But it's really pretty good. It's probably got the best plot out of anything that Bethesda has done with Fallout, which is again not saying a lot. I mean, that's like saying it's the best food on the airplane. What's the freaking deal with that? What's the deal with airplane food? I think it's got a really good narrative. Probably, actually, I would say the best actual plot of anything Fallout. And that is a reasonably high standard. I think some of those Fallout games have the best plotting in video games, but again, that's not saying a lot. That's like if there was a pile of shit and it's the best shit out of all the shits. Fuck you. It's hard making a knee-jerk video. Anyway, I really wasn't expecting much from the show, and then I started seeing like it was getting across the board good reviews, which was weird. It looks way better than I was expecting. I saw that, I don't know if you saw it, the first look clip that they released, which looked like arse. So I thought I'd do something on that. I had a plan to make a video 2 days ago without seeing the show, just talking about why all content looks bad these days. But it turns out they just chose to release, I think genuinely, the worst looking scene out of the entire show. So, you know, I can't do one of those videos anymore. But you can check out my oeuvre. Instead, I'll just talk about the show, because it looks way better than I expected. And that's the thing about being a negative cock all the time. Sometimes you can be pleasantly surprised, but it was shockingly not bad. And also had this binge release, which was stupid. I hate the binge release. I mean, I know Amazon are trying to fuck over other streamers right now because they're still in a good position, but it's so fucking stupid. It doesn't work for anyone, really, and it's annoying that it was good and had a binge release, because that meant I had to watch it all to make this video now. But I guess we'll start with aesthetics. Aesthetically, it looks great. The design, the costuming, the setting, it looks legit for the most part. They're shooting on anamorphic film, which lends it a genuine prestige that, you know, a lot of stuff doesn't have right now. And actually, a note on that, I did this video last month talking about why Shogun had this very distorted look, you know, talking about how large format was most of what created that look. This is shot anamorphic film, so it still has that anamorphic distortion, but it's not as exaggerated because of the smaller format. I think that's a worthwhile distinction to make. This is anamorphic distortion. Shogun was anamorphic plus large format distortion, okay? Get off my ass about it. But they're shooting a lot on location, a lot of practical, tangible props and sets, and a good chunk of wonky visual effects work in there, but sometimes it feels a little bit YouTube fan filmy, but I think it's just unavoidable. I think they really are doing the best you could hope for, and it's miles better than like Disney Plus shows or whatever, where, you know, they're trying to adapt comic book or cartoon characters to live action and it looks like a nightmare. In Fallout, it feels like they are faithfully adapting all this stuff, but it's been quite cleverly adapted to be maybe a little bit more fitting to the real world and real world aesthetics. There's so much directly lifted from the games. There's so much fan service and shit, but it does look fitting. I suppose that is a point. It is a fan service nightmare. You know, oh look, a Pip-Boy and power armor and Nuka-Cola and the stim packs and lunch boxes and bobbleheads and special and death claws and Mr. Handy and, you know, all this shit. It's all there, it's all in your face all the time, which I guess is just sort of how that's what Fallout is now. But still, I found that annoying, and I'm sure a lot of people found that really exciting to clap about. And so much of the show is set up for you to be like, haha, yes, that's like in the game.
Thou shalt get sidetracked by bullshit every goddamn time.
So that's pretty embarrassing and annoying, but whatever. I think generally it's often quite comedic, and its comedic sensibility is sort of like a post-Marvel thing, where it's like, it's still very broad and the jokes are sort of annoying and groany, but in this, at least, they are character motivated. Like, no one's, you know, leaning on the fourth wall or anything. It's not winking at the audience, just like there's some wacky characters in here. So That's good. Before we leave off talking about aesthetics, I thought the music, the actual score itself was often quite overbearing, you know, and it was sort of really on the nose and in your face all the time. So I wasn't huge on that, but I did love, you know, they get to use all that Fallout licensed music and they get to like pick the best stuff out of that. So that rocked. But just generally, what's great about it is it's standalone and compelling. Narratively, it doesn't feel like a video game plot, like, you know, The Last of Us or whatever. It's smartly a little bit removed from the games, and it's a show. It's an actual show, and it's probably maybe a bit sharper in what it is saying in its messaging, but maybe a bit dumber in how it's saying that. And it maybe is a little bit too updated to reflect current day politics or whatever. It's gone woke. No, it's just quite sharply plotted. I mean, it's not going for anything incredible, but it's just sort of a nice, fun action show plot. And it's really built around all these threads coming together. You've got these 3 lead characters, and they've really built it so that there's a lot of payoff in there in the plot of the show. It's maybe a little bit over-reliant on that payoff working, and also because it's so focused on that payoff at the end, it's maybe a little bit overly telegraphed throughout. Like, you can sort of see what's coming a little bit too early. And it makes it feel like a pretty good self-contained season where they haven't really left themselves anything good to work with going forward. And beyond these threads coming together, it sort of falls apart. You know, it's like the MacGuffin and the inciting incident and the mechanics of the plotting is all really clever. It does a great job of drawing the character stories together and crashing them into each other, ending in a big payoff moment, which is obviously built around the phrase "war never changes," which is annoying, but then sort of the supporting story around that is a paper-thin, inconsequential bullshit that you don't care about. And then a lot of plot threads are just left abandoned by the end. And I don't see, you know, as they go into season 2 or whatever, I think a lot of that stuff is just left hanging forever. But it's good. It's a good show. It's a bit of fun. I was pleasantly surprised by it. I suppose I don't really see why this needs to exist. You know, I think Fallout works as a game, but it doesn't need to, whatever. And it is sort of annoying. A lot of this stuff I found vaguely annoying, but it's got enough quality and direction to it that I don't mind it. I'm happy to have watched it all. I'd probably watch more. Now, let's talk about how it broke the law and canon and ruined Fallout. I don't know if you've heard about this. Fallout fans have been freaking out and going, Bethesda has ruined the canon. They've got rid of the NCR and New Vegas. So I have a couple of points on this. Firstly, they didn't do that. That hasn't happened. And secondly, I think people are thinking about this a bit wrong. People are thinking about this as like Fallout 7, a continuation of video game plots. It's not that. It's a show. It's a standalone show. It's completely... You don't need to have played 6 games to know what's going on here. You don't need to know about the factions. It's sort of it introduces you to these things, and it respects those things. I think this show has an insane amount of respect for everything that came before it. They've gone out of their way to not contradict anything. You know, it's not like the Halo show or whatever, where they're like, oh, fuck it, we'll just make up our own shit. They are so reverential to all the Fallout bullshit that came before. It's just telling its own story instead of picking up from where the game's left off. So that's good, I think. You know, I don't know why people are asking for a show that requires homework. That's like most shows right now, and it always sucks. This is a standalone thing, and one of the best things about it is that it's a standalone thing. Now, I should probably get a little bit specific to talk about this, so I'll do some minor side detail spoilers that don't matter at all, so you can just keep watching this and whatever. So, Shady Sands was this place in Fallout 1 that over time, by the time of Fallout 2, it's grown into this big city of the NCR, the New California Republic, which is sort of the rebirth of the normal US way of living, the US government. They're like the Americana centrist cop faction. So that's the background. But in this show, Shady Sands has been nuked, which seems fitting for the setting. bit of a bummer, I guess, if you've spent time with those factions in those locations, you know, in the games. But it's fine, right? It's not gone. They haven't got rid of the story that happened there, and it's not a mandate from Bethesda to get rid of anything that came before their time. You know, that story is a major part of this show. The NCR are a major faction in this show. And there's plenty of references to New Vegas, and Season 2 is probably going to Vegas. So they are taking the aesthetics of Fallout 4, Bethesda's Fallout 4, which makes sense. But I think in terms of the story, it probably takes the most cues from Fallout New Vegas. So it's not erasing Fallout New Vegas, it's sort of built around that. And like Tim Kaine and Josh Sawyer post online a fair bit, so you can see what they think of it, and they're happy about it. You know, I don't think it's not betraying it's like a really safe adaptation. It also takes the spirit of what came before, all the different things that came before. You know, it's got some of that Fallout 1 flavor to it, it's got some of the Bethesda Fallout flavor to it. I don't think this is a show that's been interfered with by Todd Howard personally, or whatever people online think. I think the people who wanted to make this show really wanted to make this show, and it had a lot of respect for it and all this stuff. But I guess broadly, they are playing more in that post-apocalyptic space of Fallout 1 or 3, and not that rebuilding society space of Fallout 2 or New Vegas. Now, again, I don't think that's because of some mandate from Bethesda. I think if you're writing the start of your post-apocalyptic story, the post-apocalypse is a good place to start. As a self-contained story, thinking about this from a TV writing perspective, think about you're introducing this world. Most people watching this aren't going to have played the game. So this is a start point. It's just a good place for season 1 of a TV show to exist. And then you can build from there, right? Fallout 2 came after Fallout 1. You know, in what world was this show going to pick up from Fallout New Vegas? What are you, insane? So yeah, that's fine. They could ruin it. There's plenty of opportunity for them to ruin it going forward, but nothing's happened so far. I do love though that it's NCR fans being like, no, you can't nuke Shady Sands, that's against the rules. It's very self-demonstrating of the ideology, you know? I suppose most people who understand why I find that funny would just be annoyed that I find that funny. Anyway, this show is a different thing to the games, and it's made by different people. It's got the same branding, it exists in the same story world, but who cares? Who gives a fuck? Lore and canon are concepts made up to sell brand loyalty. You know, if you like Fallout 2 and you want everything to be Fallout 2 forever, you should check out Fallout 2. Give that a go. Or maybe try out something else entirely and see if you like that. You know, I like the George Lucas Star Wars movies. I'm not watching the Disney Plus shows. Why would I? Well, I suppose I am if I think I can get content out of it, but that's a good reason. What's your excuse? Ooh, you can't recapture your childhood. Who cares? Move on. Cool. Well, that's everything checked off, I think. Oh, one thing I did note that I didn't get to. This is a bit where someone tells Ella Purnell, you look just like your mother, which she has a great face. She has one of the best faces in the business, but I think we see her mother in a flashback. You know, it's hard to imagine